Hi, and welcome to Quickie NBA Today Quick Shots. My name is Ken Thompson. Over the next 30 minutes, we're going to share with you a very unique way to view the great game of basketball just the way we do. The format, it'll be a combination of short, snappy questions and answers at our Quick Shots team, by our Quick Shots team, a team combined with leading experts in the game and our panel. Tonight, we will recap last night's games and touch on the weekend games, including great performances turned in by Russell Westbrook, who became the first player with 6 straight triple-doubles since Michael Jordan notched 7 in a row back in 1989. Westbrook accomplished that feat by scoring 32 points, grabbing 13 rebounds, and doling out 12 assists last night against the Atlanta Hawks. We will chat about some of the hot headlines, the Clippers, Lakers, DeMar DeRozan, Anthony Davis, the Celtics, and more. Then we'll take a look at tonight's games, including our selections and spreads and fantasy news, and we do it all going live into 156 countries. Welcome to Quickie's NBA Today Quick Shots. All right, now let's review last night's games. It's been a big 48 hours with the teams coming off big road trips while others enjoyed a good break, and that definitely showed. With first place on the line in the Eastern Conference, Cleveland Cavaliers stood tall to get the win over the Toronto Raptors. LeBron James stepped up big time to snap a 3-game losing streak, chipped in 34 points, and the Cavs rolled to a 116-112 win despite losing J.R. Smith early in the game to a knee injury. We also witnessed a thriller between the Grizzlies and the Pelicans as the two squads went double overtime where Marc Gasol chipped in 28 points, 11 boards, and 11 assists. He also had a game-tying three-pointer with 7 seconds left in regulation. They outlasted the New Orleans Pelicans, the Grizzlies did, 110-108. All right, panel. Cavs got a big win tonight. They now lead the Eastern Conference. Any comments to why and who led the way?
Well, the why is quite simple. There's two types of teams in the Eastern Conference, the ones that don't have LeBron James and the one that does. It was the defense that led this team, a collective group effort. You see, they were in a 3-game slide, having to go on the road, cross the border, and play in a hostile, cold environment. And when you can talk about the points that LeBron and Kyrie had, it was the defense in the third corner, championship defense that emerged that was able to propel them to the win and secure first place. You see, with Cleveland, they're hard to guard. But it's not the offense that teams worry about. It's their defense. When their defense gets rolling and they're able to fuel their fast break, they're extremely hard to stop in transition. Toronto's got good players, but I think from top to bottom, they don't have the firepower to be able to dethrone the champs. This is a Cleveland team that when they're engaged defensively.
All right, panel. Cavs got a big win tonight. They now lead the Eastern Conference. Any comments to why and who led the way?
No question why and no question who led the way. It's LeBron James. He's the man out there. He's going to lead them to a lot of wins and a possible second championship in a row. There's no way you can stop him. He sets the table for everybody perfectly. He's unselfish. But I have to agree with Dave. It's their defense is what separates them from everybody else. Defense wins championships. And when they're locked in defensively, they're very hard to beat.
Panel, after that loss by Toronto, what about those Raptors? Are they serious contenders or what? And if you think they're serious contenders, why?
Well, I think they're definitely contenders. I mean, when you look at that 6-game run that they had, they were certainly the hottest team in the National Basketball Association. The question I have is, from a roster standpoint, 1 through 12, do they have enough firepower to be able to go through the Cleveland Cavaliers? To me, the roster looks the same with just a couple different pieces coming off the bench. Now, never discount the guards. Those are all-star guards, Olympic caliber gold medalist guards. But are the bigs serviceable enough to be able to overcome the Cleveland Cavaliers? I think health is going to be a huge perspective in terms of Carroll. Can Carroll get back, become healthy, and then play at an extremely high level? These are the things that concern me. Certainly a team that is playing.
Portland Trailblazers beat the Chicago Bulls 112-110, the third consecutive victory for those Portland Trailblazers. What about it, panel? Are those Blazers for real?
Well, I'll tell you what, that two-headed monster's for real with Lillard and McCollum. And then you had Allen Crabbe come off the bench and get 17. They have a good young bunch, and they've developed a really good chemistry. They bought into what they have, and hopefully we can see them make a run up the ladder and get into the playoffs and make some noise. I know they have a lot of talent up there in Portland, so we'll see what happens.
Eastern Houston Rockets followed up on that double OT win against Golden State with a nice 107-106 win against the Boston Celtics. We know Harden was instrumental. Who else chipped in, folks?
Well, it's definitely safe to say Eric Gordon with his 19 points. Had a pair of clutch threes there in the end of the fourth to give him that 8-2 run. Trevor Ariza, outstanding performance with 15 points and 8 rebounds. And then you can't overlook Capella. 9 rebounds is totally instrumental in a game like this. But just like Jay said, I have to agree, this was Harden's show. And to have his 930-point game this season, and to have the clutch plays that he did, especially with the 5 points in the last minute to pull away, really just shows the kind of player that he is.
Houston Rockets followed up on that double OT win against Golden State with a nice 107-106 win against the Boston Celtics. We know Harden was instrumental. Who else chipped in, folks?
Well, Ken, Eric Gordon was instrumental last night, scoring 19 points off of the bench before ultimately rolling his ankle towards the end of the game. Also big for them was Trevor Ariza with 15 points. I wish I could say there were more helping hands, but it really was a one-man band last night in Houston, with Houston's all-everything and MVP candidate James Harden providing the bulk of the scoring down the stretch, scoring 13 of his 37 in the fourth quarter and 5 points in the last minute and a half to break a 102-102 tie. From there, Houston held on and survived many good looks by Boston to win the game. Harden added 8 rebounds and 8 assists to go along with his great scoring night.
Kevin Durant's really hit his groove with those Golden State Warriors. Together with Curry and Thompson, that big three looks just about unbeatable. Let me know what you think, panel.
Well, certainly from an offensive standpoint, Ken, that is a team that is a force to be reckoned with. When you're looking at the Splash Brothers and then you add a 4-time scoring champion and MVP, that is, to me, high-octane offense. But the key is going to be, in order to run, you've got to rebound and defend. So the questions I have, where will this team be in terms of rebounding the ball and then defending? They've lost some big pieces in terms of their defensive scheme. Now, if they can get out and defend, and they're very athletic, they're very versatile, you know that small lineup, they're able to switch and change, they cover ground, but most importantly, they have a team chemistry and a team culture that they have each other's back. Because of their length and versatility, they can cover ground. Offensively, can't miss. Defense and rebounding, big question.
In this segment, we're going to take a look at today's breaking news with special quickie takes on Russell Westbrook, DeMar DeRozan, Buddy Hield, and the Boston Celtics. Let's commence the man of the moment. Can Russell Westbrook become the first player to rival Michael Jordan's triple-double record and continue this red-hot streak he's on?
Well, as Russ would tell us, why not? What's amazing to me about this streak is that he's doing it in all 3 categories. You see, most experts thought when everyone departed Oklahoma City, it would be Russ's team, but it would just be him come down, everybody stand, and go to work and watch him. We all know he's a one-man fast break and a blur in transition. But I like it that he's doing it within the scheme of Billy Donovan. Here's a guy that can attack, score on anyone in the league. So he's not only scoring points, but because of all the intention that he draws, he's able to drop dimes. His motor allows him to get on the offensive glass or defensive rebound. These are things that I think exemplify what Russell Westbrook is all about. If anybody can do it, Russ is the man.
All right, panel, let's chat about DeMar DeRozan. The Raptors guard grew up in SoCal in Kobe Bryant's shadow. Now he's rising out of it to chase the Mamba's throne. Let me know what you think.
Well, he grew up idolizing Kobe. He grew up watching Kobe. When you grow up in L.A., you grow up watching who's on the Lakers. And you go out and you try to emulate him. So he's going out giving his best Kobe Bryant impression by scoring a bunch of points, and they're winning up in Toronto. So chasing the throne, maybe not quite, but he's on his way to doing a lot of great things, and all the best to him because he's putting in the work and he's reaping the benefits from it.
All right, panel, let's chat about DeMar DeRozan. The Raptors guard grew up in SoCal in Kobe Bryant's shadow. Now he's rising out of it to chase the Mamba's throne. Let me know what you think.
Well, I love DeMar DeRozan. He's an LA kid. He grew up about 15 miles south of the Staples Center. We all know his story, his rise to dominance. Here's the thing with DeMar DeRozan. This guy's on fire this year, averaging 28 points per game. I think he put together a wonderful start to the season. Here's the thing. If he can start to knock down the triple with more consistency, then we can talk about him in the mold of a potential Kobe Bryant. But until then, I cannot mention him and Kobe in the same breath outside of the fact that he grew up in Compton and Kobe was playing when he was a young guy. But overall, I love DeMar DeRozan. He's doing great things this season. He's shooting 48% from the field. And if he keeps that up, the Raptors could potentially steal the Eastern Conference.
With a quarter of the season in the rearview mirror, the Boston Celtics remain a mystery. Early injuries, although still 12-9, are they serious contenders? Tell me what you think.
No, the Boston Celtics are not serious contenders to challenge anybody in the Eastern Conference. Now, look, they're going to end up with the number 3 or number 4 seed most likely when this thing is done, but we are talking about the Eastern Conference. The thing with Boston, we know what we're getting with Isaiah Thomas. We don't quite know what we're getting with Al Horford on the court. Of course, he has to stay healthy, and Jay Crowder can bring some things to the team defensively that they need, although they're a well-coached defensive team by Brad Stevens. But Marcus Smart has just been abysmal from beyond the arc. He's taking 50% of his shots from 3. He's only connecting on 27%. Marcus Smart has to be better and start scoring the basketball and getting to the hoop for me to take them as serious contenders in the Eastern Conference. But right now, no, I don't think they're serious contenders, but a top team, yeah.
Take a closer look at Buddy Hield. He airballed 3 times before finding his range and knocking down 4 3-pointers. Finished with 16 points in the Pelicans' loss in Oklahoma City. Any comments about Buddy Hield? Any other rookies?
Well, the airballs don't bother me, but it's been the efficiency all season long that does. He hasn't been able to take that efficiency that we saw in college basketball and translate it to the NBA level. When you're the 6th pick in the NBA draft, you were brought in, quite frankly, to be a floor spacer so that Anthony Davis would be able to go to work inside. And that's what's concerning to me if I'm in the front office in New Orleans. Listen, you're never going to question his work ethic. You're never going to question his want to play. But there were some big voids that I saw. Athleticism, his ability to defend. But in college, he was able to make shots. He hasn't done that. And the big problem is, to keep Anthony Davis, you've got to surround him with quality players.
Let's look at tonight's games. For me, the pick of the litter will be Chicago versus Detroit. I'll now head to our panel for tonight's thoughts, as well as their selection for this big game. First game up is the Orlando Magic taking on the Washington Wizards. The Magic, now at 9-12, could have the edge in this one. What do you think?
Well, Ken, I do believe that the Magic have the edge in this one. This is the 3rd matchup of the season for these two teams, and they have split the previous 2, with each team winning on their opponent's home court. Coming into the game, the Wizards have been fairly mediocre at home in this part of the early NBA season, with only a 5-5 home mark. Meanwhile, the Magic have been hot as of late. This will be the 5th and final game of their current 5-game road trip, a road trip which has seen them go 3-1 to begin it. Also hot right now is Serge Ibaka, their big off-season acquisition. Last game, he went for 21 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 blocks, and 3 steals. I look for him and the Magic to stay hot tonight in Washington.
We got Chicago versus Detroit. This should be a pretty good game, although Rajon Rondo is out. Tell me what you think.
I think with Rondo out, that's going to hurt the Bulls. But you also have to look at Reggie Jackson's coming back off of a 21-game hiatus because of his knee. And how will he play? Will he try to make too much of an impact in this game, or will he just come in and do enough to help the team win? I'm looking for Detroit to win this one because of the adrenaline of him coming back and the lack of a Rajon Rondo out on the floor.
Knicks in the Heat. Knicks have won 8 of 11. Who gets the win in this one, and why?
Well, who would have thought it's been almost 20 years since the Knicks were going to come into a matchup against the Miami Heat and be considered the favorites, overwhelming favorites at that fact. But some of that is due to the fact that tonight Justice Winslow and Josh Richardson are 2 of 4 key components, contributors rather. They will not be facing the New York Knicks tonight. They'll be out with injury, so they'll be kind of short on the lineup. So for that reason, I think the Knicks will get the win. Also, Miami's been hot on the road, 2-1 in their last 3 on the road. But as you said, the Knicks are starting to heat up. They're starting to gel and find their chemistry. If the Knicks can get more consistent play from their bench, I think we can see not the super team Derrick Rose predicted, but a very, very good team in the Eastern Conference. And I think tonight, I don't know if the Knicks-Heat rivalry gets revamped up again, but I do believe the Knicks come out with the victory at the American Airlines Arena.
Antonio, Minnesota. Spurs been playing to the level of the competition. A 1-point win against Milwaukee last night. What about it? Can anybody see an upset here?
Well, Ken, as you mentioned, a 97-96 squeaker in Milwaukee last night for the San Antonio Spurs, so they are coming off of a back-to-back. Meanwhile, Minnesota hasn't played a game since Saturday, so they should be rested for this contest. Also, the Spurs find themselves in a stretch of 4 games in 7 nights, so it is conceivable that Greg Popovich might choose to rest some of his starters. But that might be the only shot that Minnesota has in winning this one, as they have been pretty poor at home this season with only a 3-6 mark at home. Meanwhile, San Antonio plays their best basketball on the road, as they are an NBA best 12-0 away from San Antonio. I think this one might be tight, especially if Popovich does decide to rest those starters, but ultimately, I look for San Antonio to get the win tonight.
Finally, we have the Suns and the Jazz. What about it? Suns now at full strength. Could they possibly steal this one?
Well, maybe if there's a lunar eclipse, but I don't think that's in the forecast. There's good news and bad news for Suns fans. The good news is that the Jazz are on the second night of a back-to-back, traveling back from Los Angeles. The bad news is they've won 6 of their last 7. And the problem with Phoenix, I'm glad that everybody's back, but this is a team that has no consistency on either side of the ball. I've seen them play well in spurts, but they really don't have an identity. What are the 2 things that the Suns do well? They rebound well and they run. But against good teams like Utah that are going to get back and take away your transition game, you've got to be able to execute in the half court. And that's what I haven't seen. There really isn't a method to their madness. Now, are they fun to watch? Absolutely. But to be able to make progress, you've got to be able to play at 2 speeds, fast and slow. Phoenix is a work in progress.
Let's delve a little deeper into the tips and spreads for tonight's games. I'll hand it over to one of our experts on those point spreads and the money lines, Mr. Johnny Robb. All right, Johnny, tell me what you think about tonight's games and spreads. What do you have on the radar? What looks good on the money line?
Not that many games tonight, and not that many that really stand out. If I had to choose one, I'm going to go with the Knicks with +1 to cover against Miami. With Winslow, Richardson, Johnson, and Babbitt all out, I really think that this game's been overlooked, and I think that the Knicks will easily be able to pull through. As far as money line, I'd take money line on the Knicks as well.
What about it? The T-Wolves, they catch the Spurs on back-to-back roadies. Anybody want to look at Minnesota for the upset tonight?
Well, I'd have to echo Tracy's sentiment as well as my own when we were previewing the game earlier in the show. I do like San Antonio to win this one outright, but let's take a look at what they can do against the spread. Currently, San Antonio is installed as a 4-point favorite. This season on the year, San Antonio is only 9-11-1 against the spread overall and 8-11-1 as the favorite. So not a great team against the spread. However, Minnesota is even worse, with a 7-13 overall mark against the spread and a 4-9 mark when they are the underdog in a contest. So not only do I like the Spurs to win this one outright, but I also like them to cover that 4-point line. If you like home underdogs as much as I do, I would urge you to stay away from Minnesota tonight.
What about it? The T-Wolves, they catch the Spurs on back-to-back roadies. Anybody want to look at Minnesota for the upset tonight?
No, I'm not looking for the upset. The Spurs take care of business. One game at a time with them. They're well coached. They have good leaders. Kawhi Leonard's not going to let it happen. Plus, the Wolves, they're young. They're talented. But when it comes down to a close game and the end of the game, the execution and the defensive stops is what's going to play a big part, and San Antonio is going to win the game.
Big game in Miami. What do we got spread-wise, money line-wise? Knicks and Heat. tonight, South Beach.
Well, Ken, like I said before, I think this is the best bet out there. With Miami having Winslow, Johnson, and Richardson all out, guys who average 10 points a game, I think this is an easy win for New York with only +1 to cover and a good bet on the money line at -105. You have Hassan Whiteside for Miami, who's always just an amazing defensive threat. But with how the Knicks have been playing and with the injuries on Miami's side, I think +1 will be easy to cover.
Big game in Miami. What do we got spread-wise, money line-wise? Knicks and Heat tonight, South Beach.
Hey, Ken, I'm going to have to agree with Johnny. It should be an easy game for the Knicks to win. There's too many injuries on the Heat side. I really like what I see in Hassan Whiteside with all the boards and the points he's been able to produce for that Heat ball club. But at +1 and -105, the Knicks will definitely walk away with this win, and definitely put your money up on that team. It's the easiest bet.
Every team has played at least 18 to 21 games entering this week's action. That means we're 20% of the way into the campaign. Let's take stock now of the differences in advanced production for the teams from last season to this season. We've had a look at this detail, and it reveals the 10 greatest leaps in offensive rating, which measures points per 100 possessions from last season to now. The Lakers have become a fantasy gold mine. What's your thoughts?
I'm surprised. Coming off the one of the worst seasons in Laker history, and then to be playing as well as they're playing, I knew they were going to grow, but I didn't realize that they're going to grow this fast. I love Randall. He's just a monster on the court. Larry Nance is just getting better and better. And then you've got Clarkson and Russell, really putting up some points. I love Luol Deng and Lou Williams to be the vets on this team. I think we're going to continue to see them have a great season, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
The Lakers have become a fantasy gold mine. What's your thoughts?
Well, Ken, I do have to concur with Tracy's conclusion. There is quite a lot of talent on this roster, but there's quite a lot of fantasy talent as well. While not necessarily top-heavy, the Lakers do boast quite a bit of depth for you to fill out the bottom portion of your team with, as they boast 5 players who score at least 12.5 points per game this year. That is actually tied with Detroit for the most in the NBA. Leading the way is Julius Randle, their young power forward, who's still only in about his 101st career game, which means he's still improving. Right now, he's a walking double-double. He'll get you about 13 points and 8 rebounds a game, but he also chimes in with 3.5 assists a game, which puts him in the top 4 of big men in the league. If you're looking for quality talent to fill out the bottom part of your lineup with, I suggest you check out the LA Lakers.
The Lakers have become a fantasy gold mine. What's your thoughts?
Well, I'm happy for them. I mean, the kid's been working hard all summer, and they are talented. They just need to figure out how to learn how to play the game on this level. So there's talent, no question. And then you got veterans like Lou Williams and Luol Deng and those guys that are there to help these kids along.
The Raptors are enjoying DeMar DeRozan's epic and efficient scoring. Is he on your fantasy team?
If I played fantasy, he would be. He's one of those guys that's riding the wave of success from this summer from winning a gold medal in the Olympics. And he's having an excellent season. He's a hard worker. And he's a guy that knows where he can score the basketball. You don't see him behind the three-point line too often. He's killing the mid-range. And I'm happy to see him doing well.
The Raptors are enjoying DeMar DeRozan's epic and efficient scoring. Is he on your fantasy team?
Of course, he should be on everybody's fantasy team. 28 points per game. The guy can get to the basket at will. Tracy had a great point. His mid-range is phenomenal. One of the best mid-range players in the game right now. I think that DeMar DeRozan is going to continue to get better. And as I said earlier, if he can start to knock down the triple with just a tad bit more consistency, really watch out. That 28 points can easily go to 35. But yes, he should be on your fantasy team. He's got the Raptors playing well. Him and Kyle Lowry have a great 1-2 punch going. He's obviously just taking his game to new heights this year. And I think the Raptors are a team that is going to make a serious run at a potential NBA Finals trip once the playoffs come around. But DeMar DeRozan, definitely pick him up for fantasy.
Cavaliers shooting guard J.R. Smith has made 2.4 three-pointers per game this season. Now he's a little bit banged up. What do? You play him or you sit him?
Well, Ken, it depends on the injury. I mean, if he's able to play through it, then play. If he's not able to play through it, then sit for a little while and let it heal. But if you're going to sit and let it heal completely.
Thanks for joining us tonight. We hope you've enjoyed our first show. If you agree or disagree with any of our comments and thoughts, please let us know, as this is your time. If you have any questions for our panel or topics you would like to raise with our experts, let us know and we will make sure we review them tomorrow night. I'm Ken Thompson. Had a great time. Talk to you tomorrow night from Quickie.